All right, so in this video, I'm going to answer a lot of the questions that have been coming up in the comments. Some of the most important questions that I think are really valuable to a lot of other agents out there. So hopefully these may answer some of your questions and give you the knowledge you need to start an agency, grow your agency, or take things to the next level. So let's dive into the video and to the questions here. All right, so first one, I'm going to shout out everybody who has been commenting as well. So if you do want to get shouted out, ask a question, drop it in the comments. We will continue to do these and answer a lot of the questions from some of the viewers. So first one, how do you think the new regulations will affect independent insurance agency come January with leads? My understanding is there is a list of the names like State Farm, Allstate, Farmers, Progressive, the independent agencies that the customers are choosing from. Quite honestly, I'm not 100% sure what regulations you're talking about. Maybe I'm in the dark about this. I don't think I am because we're pretty on top of these things, but my guess is there are certain regulations I know are coming in January of 2025. Those happen to be with contractors. Contractor State License Board is requiring all contractors to have workers' comp, whether they have employees or they don't have employees. That's some good information if you are looking to sell to contractors in California. Everybody has to have workers' comp starting January, which is good news for insurance agents, bad news for contractors, because more policies sold for us. They have to pay for insurance that they don't want to have and they hate it, but there's ways around it to write them ghost policies. Maybe you're talking about the list of names like State Farm, Progressive, and Allstate. I'm not 100% sure what you're referring to there. This is Leland Fallon 8273. Drop a comment below. Please let me know what you're talking about. Would love to answer this in a bit more detail, but dropping some knowledge there about the contractors. Next one here is from Kristen Greer 8756. What's up, Kristen? How you doing? Would like to know what system can help me look for the best carrier for my customers without having to enter their info into each carrier website. So there's what's called a rater. The rater is something you can use within your management system. EasyLinks uses it. Couple other management systems have raters built into it. You can also get a rater. There's a bunch of rating platforms that you can use. I'm not going to shout them all out because we don't like the raters personally. I'm not a fan of raters because they are very tedious. There's a lot of information that needs to be put into them, and a lot of times we've found that the raters have inaccurate quotes and inaccurate rates. So it was just really kind of difficult for us to present those types of quotes when the rates were wrong. I'd rather go directly to the carrier, get a quote, present it, and usually by repetition of different carriers, you start to find out which ones are the most competitive, and just kind of gauging, like, this is a solo guy with one employee. He probably needs a cheaper company. Maybe he isn't looking for the best quality carrier out there. Still, obviously, you want to give customers the best quality carrier to protect them properly, but gauge your customer, give them a couple options, and maybe just go with the top two options that you think are best. And by then, you probably already know what is the best for your customers. So that's the answer to that one. We don't like raters. Try to avoid them if possible because it's very tedious. Next one here is from Antonio Turner 8485. Everybody's got these 84 numbers at the end of their names. That's very interesting. What's up, Antonio? Thanks for the question. Are you able to work under a captive agent State Farm while bundling or building your own independent agency, or do non-competes get in the way? If anyone has this info, it would be greatly appreciated. I'm basically ready to launch, but that income to take care of my household and touch other businesses' funds. So yeah, good question. I personally, this is what you can do. It is a little bit sketchy, just to be transparent with you. You can set up your agency, set up the structure, the foundation, the other business, website, all the different things that you want to set up. Get the licensing in place for the business entity and all the different foundational things before you launch. You cannot be building an agency or writing other policies. You will get terminated. I'm almost certain. State Farm, if they catch wind of that, they will terminate you pretty quickly because you're competing against them with, identical business on an independent side. So I would strongly advise you to not do that because you will get fired probably, but you can put all the other pieces in place. There is a place where they can actually check to see if you have appointments. So that could be an issue, but it's rare that they look that up. To answer your question, definitely don't launch your agency and start writing business while you're working for another agent. It's highly unethical, and it's also could lead to potential issues with the Department of Insurance as well. So I would strongly avoid doing that, Antonio. But build it up, set all the other things up behind the scenes on the weekends, and then when you're ready to launch, day one, you're ready to roll. Also check your non-competes. Non-competes are things that you signed with your agent. It's possible you can get in trouble if you try to take that business over to your own agency. All right, next question here is from Blueman16. What's up, Blueman? I know you like Batman. You got the logo Batman there. I'm more of a Superman guy, just to be transparent with you, man. Do you need to have a physical brick and mortar office to get appointed with an insurance carrier, or can you work under an appointment from home for auto insurance? So back when I first started my agency in 2018, it was required that I had to have an office for some of these appointments. Certain carriers required you to have a physical brick and mortar office. Things definitely changed in the last couple of years, mainly because of COVID, and everybody knows, everything went digital and went remote. But to answer that question, it's hard to say right now because it could be, it could not be that carriers are still requiring that. My suggestion always is get yourself a physical location, even if it's a small office somewhere, even if it's like a, one of the suites, what's it called, the WeWorks or whatever, these Regis buildings where you can get a little office for a cheap rate, that you actually have a physical location. Those are also tricky because you want to have a real place where you can consistently get mail from in the future and get all your stuff appointed in place. It's a mess changing that. Even just changing suites within our building was a bit of a mess, switching the suite number. We had to go and update every carrier that we were appointed with to get new, make sure the mail was going the right places. It's not necessarily required. I know things have gotten a little more lenient with that in the last couple of years, but in the past, if you want one of the major carrier appointments like Travelers, Safeco, Liberty Mutual, Nationwide, all these big companies, they will probably want to send a representative out, a marketing rep they call them. So you should have a physical location. Just to answer that question. Good question though. This one here is from Jacob Block. What's up, Jacob? You look familiar, man. I think we've chatted a couple times. Thank you for the question. Love it. What IMO do you use for life insurance, life business? We use BackN9 Insurance. There's a link in our description that you can actually sign up for BackN9. It's a great platform. It's a competitive rater, so it basically has every carrier appointment or every carrier you would want in there. So it's really, really good for comparing options. They have whole life, term, accidental death, disability. They have a couple other, annuity programs and stuff like that. Saves you a lot of the hassle of having to go and find out direct appointments with each of these carriers and being limited to those carriers by themselves. They do take more commission off the top, just straight up. But for me personally, it's always been so much better to get that with BackN9, especially because we're not primarily life insurance based, but BackN9 has been really good, and I think a lot of other agents like it. Good question, Jacob. Hope you're doing well, man. Keep it up. This question is from Reina Awadala. What's up, Reina? I think we've also chatted. What is the broker bond fee in California? This has to be paid by who, or paid to who? So a broker bond fee, I'm assuming you're talking about like a broker bond that you need to have for yourself as an agent. When I first started my agency, they required us to have a broker bond. Some carriers do require you to have a broker bond. That is something you need to have in place just for licensing purposes, and you need to just get a quote and get a bond. We can actually do those bonds for you. If somebody needs a bond, let us know. We'd be happy to help you out with that. So that's more so for appointment processes and application purposes. You need to have a bond to protect your agency and yourself and your license. Next question here is from Tomahawk OI9. Do you get access to life insurance policies through SIAA? Life insurance is not one of the primary focuses of SIAA. It's P&C, property and casualty, mostly personal and commercial stuff. So no, we don't do life insurance through SIAA. All we do is BackN9 for our life insurance. The good part about that is too that SIAA doesn't have their hands on that, so they don't take your commission splitting. That's one of the great benefits of doing it through BackN9. It's independent and you don't have to worry about that. Next question here is from Ryan Lathis, 1884. What's up, Ryan? As you're starting, which commercial insurance did you start selling first? Great question. Is there one you recommend to excel in first? Definitely, man. I would say start with general liability. It's the most basic policy. Everybody needs it for every office space, for every business. They have to have general liability. Restaurants need it. Coffee shops need it. Every place that you walk into has to have, any business, commercial space that you walk into has to have general liability. It's almost always required by contract too if you're a tenant in any building. It's just like renter's insurance for home. If you go and rent a home, they're going to, in the lease, they're going to say you have to have renter's insurance. Same thing with a restaurant. If they lease a space to operate their restaurant, they're going to have general liability, which is their quote unquote renter's insurance, is the easiest because almost everyone needs it. Workers' comp is the next easiest, I would say, is the second to that. If they have any employees, workers' comp policies are so easy to write. People are really intimidated by workers' comp. It's like the easiest thing ever. All you need to know is their business information, basic stuff, and then their payroll and the number of employees they have and which classifications their employees are working in. Definitely recommend general liability, workers' comp. Then you can get into commercial auto, but general liability is the easiest. Workers' comp, in my opinion, is one of the easiest policies ever to write. So yeah, good question, Ryan. Study up on general liability. You can go on ChatGPT and type in, how does general liability work? Give me examples of claims that happen for like what type of business you're looking for. That'll answer a lot of your questions too. This one's from Alex Garcia. Can a producer make $6K in his or her first year, no experience? I'm assuming you're saying $6K a month, $6,000 a month. Absolutely. People in my office, we have a base salary pay, but the commissions that my team is making, without a doubt, you can hit $6,000 a month in commissions if you're really crushing it, and especially you have 8 hours a day to be making calls. Like if you're working your leads and you're cross-selling and not just going for like the general liability and workers' comp, and you're going after their personal home, their personal auto, you're asking about an umbrella, you're going after all the stuff to make sure they're protected properly and really rounding out. All you really need is like 5 to 10 accounts, good accounts a month, and you're in the money to make $6,000 in commission a month. No experience, just be prepared. Like the first 2 to 3 months, you're gonna suffer because it's tough to get yourself going and really understand how products work and really driving the wedge. When I say driving the wedge, is making people very, very uncomfortable with their insurance and asking them very difficult questions like, what would you do if you had a massive claim? Do you have any reserves? Like what kind of income do you have? Do you have money saved up? What would you do if somebody did sue you and they went after your house and all your savings and your 401k? Those are kind of questions you can get deeper into as you become a more experienced advisor and feel more confident. But yeah, as far as just like, if you literally just make the calls and just do your numbers, you will make $6,000 or more a month selling property and casualty insurance. I guarantee you. Another question here from Parker Miller. How much do you offer for renewals? Good question. We don't personally in my office. Some agencies do offer renewals for their producers. We don't do that. We incentivize our producers on the front end with a lot of commission. So you make your first year's commission plus a base salary pay. And that's how we do things instead of doing the renewal process. The renewals become such a mess for agencies because it's hard enough to track my own renewal commissions. Imagine trying to pay 6, 7, 8 people their own renewals for their policies that they've sold. It's a nightmare on the accounting side. So we'd rather give it to the commission to the producer on the front end, and then you can make it the agency retains it on the back end. So it's a bit of a waiting game to make money in the insurance business, especially if you're running your own agency. That's how we structure things. And, hopefully that does answer some of your guys' questions. Please leave some comments below. It really kind of fuels us with what questions are out there and allows me to answer them. So hopefully these brought some value to you. If they did, please like, subscribe. Really appreciate you guys. I'm going to keep trying to make these videos. Also tell me what you want to see in the videos. That really helps. Right now, guys, just want to shout this out real quick. We have a promo going. We had it for the month of September, end of the summer. Consulting calls, half off, 50% off the consulting calls. It's extended into October because there was a bunch of calls that got booked. So if you're interested, take advantage of that now because that is running 50% off. It's already 50% off on the site, so you just book it directly, the 1 hour call with me. Try to bring you as much value as I can and hopefully get you expedited in your process to not make the same mistakes that I've made. That is my number one goal, is to help people. I think it's worth, hey, do whatever you want. I think it's worth it because I could probably save you hours and countless thousands of dollars as well of mistakes and time wasted. Time is money. Let's get after it, guys. Really appreciate you guys. Drop some more comments below, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks so much. Peace.